Hi Rebecca, it's Beatrice.
Hi, Beatrice. It's Rebecca. How are you?
I'm very well, and I'm even weller because I booked my ticket for the conference next week.
Oh, that will increase your wellness.
Yes,
Oh my goodness.
it
I'm,
looks
I
so
mean,
good.
it does, and I can say that without being egotistical because I had nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant Leah, my former MA, now PhD student and assistant, she thought the whole thing up, has done the whole thing, and she's amazing, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, it really does.
I think she's so clever. It's such a clever theme to look at, like questions of inspiration and like when things are referencing, when things are inspiring, when things are appropriation. It's like such a current issue, but it's also an issue that has always been there in fashion. So I think it's such a good subject.
Yeah, and it's also, I always like the conferences where you get different, where you get people from different fields.
Yes,
I really like that. I think that,
I do.
mm,
I do. I think that's something we've been evolving kind of each year, and also trying to not just have one academic paper after another, which, no disrespect to that
no.
because sometimes that's what you need and it's very good. But we've been trying to have like panels and different kinds of things. But she's got together such a brilliant
Mm,
roster of people like Judith Clark's giving the keynote, which I think will be amazing because I
mm,
know she's going to talk about the work she did at Balenciaga at the museum in Spain
mm-hmm.
is one of the things she's going to talk about, which will be fantastic. And I think it'll be really, really interesting. Sarah Moa, who I think is just
Yeah.
the best
Mm,
journalist. I love her. She was brilliant. Like we contacted her, said, we'd love you to do this. Here's some people we thought of, and she was just like, "Can I have three instead of just one designers?" And we were like, "Well, if you can get them, then
yeah.
yeah." So she's got Supriya Lili, Priya Aluwalia, and Bianca Saunders. So I mean, amazing.
Mm,
And then it's like there's archivists, more designers, curators, journalists, academics. It's such a mix.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think we've ever had such a mix. It's great.
Yeah. It looks really good. I really look forward to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be super lively and interesting and engaging. And I really hope we get. I know we've sold loads of tickets already, so that's great. There are still some, but
Mm,
I think it will be good to get a really mixed audience of people of different generations and diverse people of all kinds of jobs and everythings.
yeah. No,
I
I've
think it'll
heard
be
quite a
really
few
great.
different people mentioning it, so word definitely
Oh, good.
has got round. Yeah.
That's really, really good. No, it'd be great. I've been posting about our events this term on Instagram. I
Ah,
don't know if you saw. I
no.
did one this morning for the conference, and then I did one at lunchtime for we do this as dressing images where
Yes.
we put up,
Mm.
yeah. Well, my other PhD student, Nadia Wang, is leading this one. She's fabulous. She teaches at LaSalle in Singapore. She did my MA and she's now doing PhD. And she's working on this Singaporean magazine, Her World, to look at how kind of changes in sort of ideas of identity and national identity and kind of politics in the 70s and 80s in Singapore, how this magazine kind of resonated with these ideas. So her PhD work is really interesting, but then she's chosen such a good film. I've never heard of it. It's called They Call Her Cleopatra Wong.
That sounds
And
amazing.
I know, isn't that good? But yeah, it's really, really fun, and it's really going to be such an interesting thing to look at because it's a Philippine Singaporean film,
Hmm.
and then I think it's been dubbed, so it's quite, yeah, it's got an English, not soundtrack, what do you call it?
I
Anyway,
think
it's
dubbed
English,
is right word. Yeah.
right, dub.
Mm, mm.
Um, it's from the mid-70s, and it's like I think she's a CIA person or a detective or something, and it's very action-packed with lots of fight scenes. So it would be really interesting which things Nadia chooses to focus
Yeah.
on and
Mm.
which and what kind of discussion we have. It'd be really fascinating. And then tonight I'll post about our fashion illustration masterclass, which is going to be Martin Welsh, who
Oh
I
yes.
love. And he
Mm.
is so lovely and so generous. and his work is so beautiful. So I think that will be lovely as well.
Yeah, sounds
so
amazing.
It's nice. Sorry, I'm talking to you, but I'm also having to play with Coda.
That's okay. That's okay.
At the same
If
time.
it was anyone else, I'd be annoyed, but it's okay.
Well, all those snuffles are him, not me.
Okay.
I want that to be clear.
What else have you and Coda been doing?
Well, it was his birthday this week, so there's been great celebrations and drinking of coconut water and eating of coconut flakes.
Wow.
His favourite things. So he's quite tired. But we've also the two of us been looking at the cruise wear collections.
Ah, yeah, I've been doing a bit of that.
Because obviously he loves a bit of resort wear.
Yes.
But yeah, I kind of, like, I always really like the clothes in cruise wear, but then you're supposed to, aren't you? Because I think those are the clothes that stay in the shops longest, actually, and which are kind of have the wardrobe, the basis of your wardrobe almost, which I find quite funny because you feel like cruise wear would be the fripperies.
I know. I think
So
you
it's
explained this to me before, how this works, and I'm still haven't quite, because yesterday I thought, oh, when did this resort thing start? And I did a very somewhat unscientific thing. I just looked on Vogue Runway, and the first one they have, I think, is in 2006, and they don't have any before then. So that might just mean they didn't photograph them or something. But I read somewhere Yves Saint Laurent did the first one. I mean, there were really early ones, but he did the first one in 2006 too, or something. So it seems to have started then, and I just find that really bizarre. I don't quite, or maybe it didn't, and I got.
Well, no, I think they've been, if not revived, then rebranded more recently. Because certainly, like 30s, 40s, the Americans and Paris actually are doing resort collections.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether it was like every year or quite how it ran. And I find the whole thing kind of, sometimes I just find it all silly, and sometimes I find it charming, depending on the day, really. Because, like, I love a kind of 20s, 30s cruise where, when they started designing these big ships that were more like hotels. So, like, you needed clothes for that as well as your actual destination holiday. So I think that's really fascinating, the way ship design and the concept of travel changes, that the travel part itself is an event, and it's hard to think now of when that would be true, because usually you're just trying to get through the travel to get to the place.
Yeah, I remember when I first flew, it was still the case, and there were photos taken when we came.
Really?
Oh, I have some photos of us coming off the plane. My mother put on her Pucci-esque dress.
Oh.
It wasn't Pucci, but it was like.
It was esque.
Yeah, it was esque, and it became a very important photo because I'm holding a stuffed toy that then was, and it was in the glamorous resort of Torremolinos, and I'm holding
just slay.
And I hold a stuffed toy that then on the bus to the probably not very nice hotel I lost. So this was used as evidence, this photo that was taken
that
when we came.
Existed.
Yeah, that the toy existed. But anyway, at that point, I'm sure my mother.
I love that.
I'm sure I'll send you the photo. I'm sure my
Please.
mother dressed up for that particular occasion.
And you were photographed coming off.
Yes.
So it was like the tourists arriving would buy photographs of themselves getting off the plane because that was a cool, swanky thing to do.
And how the photographs, how that worked, I'm not sure. I suspect they went to the hotels because it's a black and white print, so you wouldn't have been able to get it straight away.
So when would that be?
So that was, I think I was preschool, so late 60s maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That reminds me, my dad was telling me the other day, and my mum used to tell me about this as well, that apparently, like Leigh-on-Sea, where I'm from, there used to be photographers waiting at kind of key points there to take your photograph, because it was because it's by the seaside, so people go there for visits and holidays. So there's like a picture of my grandpa in the early 30s on the Broadway, that was taken by one of these photographers. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I for a while I bought quite a bit of photographs on eBay, and I bought some skating ones, and that must, when you took an ice skating, they look sort of they look 40s, which is odd because the skating rings closed during the war, but so maybe it's just before or so.
Yes.
And that must have been the same thing, sort of people being photographed, and then you could buy a print.
It's funny, and obviously, some people who just lived there, because my granddad just lived there.
Yeah, that's true.
On holiday. But it's interesting, isn't it, that again, it's the idea of when something is an event that you need a memory of it, you need a photograph, and you tend to think of that as, like, people are so mocking sometimes of people taking selfies of themselves everywhere, as though this is, like, obviously it's new that you can literally do it everywhere, but the impulse to have that image is really much older.
Yeah, and I think there are periods like the 30s, 40s when people take a lot of photos. I think, I have a feeling at some point it went away again. Maybe film got too expensive, or I don't know, something seems to have happened, or maybe it was just, I don't have many photos from the 80s and 90s, but maybe that's something else. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But I have a feeling that, there are periods when people have just albums full of them at the seaside and doing all sorts of things. And then somehow I have a feeling it wanes, but maybe not. Maybe it's something to do with the age you're at, or I don't know.
I mean, certainly, but also just this thing of travel being an occasion I like.
No, I love that.
I love that. And I think, like, some, like, really full-on resort wear I just think is gorgeous.
Yeah. Because
I suppose it's often nautical, so I love that. But also that it's kind of practical but super chic in a 30s way that I really like.
Yeah.
But I do find it a bit taxing. I mean, I don't even ever go to these shows, obviously. But at first I thought, ooh, all these destination shows, and then I just thought, these are just junkets and they're annoying.
I have a feeling, again, it's not for me to say, obviously, but I think it's gone too far, almost.
Let's just draw a line.
Yeah.
Let's just stop being silly.
Yeah.
And calm down.
Yeah.
It's like the end of a party where everyone needs to calm down.
But I think it has sort of, it's happening, because I don't know, is Prada having it in New York? It was in New York, wasn't it? Isn't that sort of...
I'm not sure.
I think it was. I think it wasn't at a sort of far...
far-flung.
Yeah, although obviously New York is far-flung depending on where you are. So
where you start.
Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, but it's just... I don't know, there was something just... Even when they go to really beautiful places or really beautiful architecture or something, I don't know, it just seems like far too blatant what you're up to. Do you know what I mean? It just seems too kind of, so you need the shot with that house, you need the Instagram moment with that model in front of that scene at that point, and I don't know, and it's kind of, I suppose it's in part, it's like, it reminds me of, there's this quote that I really love where it's like Louise Dole-Wolf, the photographer, talks about how brilliant Diana Vreeland was at styling when she used to work with her, and that Carmel Snow used to say about these clothes that they called the pearls of little price, so like the cheap clothes, just kind of show as little as you can and do what you can with it. And so it was all about kind of really good styling, really enhancing the colour, having a great location. And sometimes I think you're doing a pearl of little price moment, which I know is rather cynical. But it's like, it's not that necessarily the clothes are cheap. They clearly are the opposite of that, and it's not necessarily that they're not even nice clothes, because they often are really nice and really super wearable, and the most wearable of all the ones of the year. But at the same time, there's something a little bit,
I guess on the one hand, it is a sort of practical thing, isn't it? Because it's not warm everywhere at this point, and
and also they go into the shops in winter.
Yeah.
But they do, like, because it's resort, I think most of them have some, like the Chanel had some things that were for colder resorts and some for warmer. So they do sort of go across.
Oh, it's confusing.
Climates. But that's the thing that I kind of think Oh, I don't know. I don't know why it annoys me, because I actually like resort wear. Maybe I'm just being grumpy today. But there's just something where I just sort of think, oh, I don't know. There's just something like I feel like your petticoat showing. I can see the machinations in your PR brain too clearly. Even when I love the collections, I kind of think, really, how much money, how many air miles, how much climate destruction went on to get everybody there for 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Which, given that Diana Ross sang in Marrakesh for Dior, I mean, I shouldn't be so grumpy about it.
Yeah.
Because Diana. But at the same time, it's so extravagant on so many levels to show ultimately great but wearable clothes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know, Beatrice. I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how it transitioned to this. I guess resort must have gone away once the ships, or the cruise rather than resort, maybe went away a bit once the ships weren't used so much anymore.
Well, I guess that there's flight then, because there's like the jet set stuff.
Yes, there is that, yeah.
At 60s, 70s, which clearly you were at the forefront.
Yeah. Clearly.
But once you lost your toy, it just all crumbled, and people were too sad to carry on. But I think it is like, obviously it's a marketing thing, and it's not a new thing to say that. And Instagram and raising the profile of a thing that isn't necessarily so spectacular in itself in the traditional sense of couture, but is the stuff that will actually sell. I mean, it was very, very interesting, I think, that Maria Grazia Chiuri at Dior, that there were so many collaborations. I think it's interesting the way that's, I mean, because obviously all fashion is collaboration, but we worship the auteur. But then it's really interesting how, I mean, it's really great. I mean, I love Micheline Thomas's work, so, you know, collaborate away, she's great. And I love Grace Wells Bonner, so the same. And it was, but it's interesting, like, that they were both, I mean, because Micheline Thomas has done the Lady Dior bag, hasn't she?
I don't know.
Before. Yeah, and then she and Grace Wells Bonner this time reinterpreted the bar suit, which I thought was very lovely, and I thought they both did really beautiful reinterpretations. But at the same time, I kind of think I'm a bit bored with the bar suit. But I think I'm just grumpy, aren't I, today? I'm just a bit bored with everything.
Yeah.
I'm jaded.
Yeah.
Because Grace Wells Bonner's was lovely, and I loved the way it was like 1950s raffia, touristy, lovely bags made into a skirt and cuffs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's lovely.
These sort of, in some ways, traditional elements that say holiday.
Yes.
How they survive.
That's fun.
Yeah.
And then it's fun having the sort of impressionist references beaded on the back of the Thomas one. So I like those. I'll stop being grumpy for 4 seconds.
Okay.
But then I'm going straight back to grumpy.
Maybe we should talk more about the 1930s.
Yes, then I'll cheer up.
Yeah. So tell me again what it is you like about them. You said it was because they're practical. I'm trying to cheer you up.
I know.
I think what I like...
Really appreciate it. Tell me what you like.
I think I've got these fashion drawings in my head, and they're probably, maybe it's one particular one, but there are probably quite a few like that. And what I like is partly how it's, how often the clothes are represented, and it's often women looking into the distance.
Oh, that is so true.
And I love that.
I love that.
They might be static, and they might be standing quite firmly in the ground, but you know they're moving towards something.
They are.
That's
so true.
One thing I really like. And then again, maybe it's just from this one illustration I have in my head, but I think little scarves are a thing.
Oh God, they're amazing.
Neck scarves. So I do like, that's another thing I do really like. So these are my things.
I think those are two marvellous things. I do like a good sandal. I do really enjoy wearing sandals, looking at sandals, thinking about sandals.
Yeah, I'm a bit less in that camp, but I have empathy.
Good. Empathy is good, and I appreciate your empathy for me with that. I definitely think I am just completely in love with 30s and 40s photographs of resort wear.
Yeah.
And those like Kodachrome ones where the colours are so lush and rich and you feel like you can feel the sun on your skin. And again, empathy is a good word because I think they're very emotionally resonant. I think you look at them and you feel them.
Yes, that's true. They give you a sensory experience. You sort of smell.
They really do.
You smell the heat in a way.
Exactly. And even like the black and white ones, there's just something like you can feel the air on your skin. Just, I really love the way they transport you in a way that, like, I love studio ones, but they really transport me. And well, maybe I'm, relieving my own grumpiness because maybe that's the thing of when the journalists are taken to these gorgeous places. They all literally feel the air on their face and the sun on their face, and they appreciate the clothes more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's a good point, actually.
Maybe. But that said, on a happier note, I did like Prada. I mean, it wasn't like earth-shattering, but I would wear virtually all of it. Which I'm sure that was Machia's aim, was to get me to wear all of it.
The same here. I loved the blouses. I thought they...
Yes, weren't they? I sent them to Alison because they were so
smocking.
Smock
Exactly, yes.
I think Alison is taking over the world just in a stealth way with her smock frock work.
Yeah, no, smocks.
And, if anyone has to take over the world, it should be her.
Okay, we can all get on board then.
I think we should. I think we should. A bit of smocking goes a long way.
Yeah. So I think what I take away from all this is next time we travel together...
Definitely.
We need to wear something esque.
Something esque. We need to keep firm hold of any stuffed toys.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
And then
we need to take good pictures of each other.
That's true. Looking into the distance, at least one of them. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we really need to do that.
Okay, I think we should just plan a trip now.
Okay.
And sandals for me, and a little scarf for you.
Okay. Sorted.
Oh my God, perfect.
Perfect.
Well, you've cheered me up enormously.
Good. I'm very pleased.
All right, I'll speak to you soon then.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.